Well, joining us now is Daniel Di Martino, a Young Voices contributor and Venezuelan expatriate who lived in Venezuela until his family fled in 2016. He secured a scholarship to Indiana University at Perdue University in Indianapolis, where he's studying economics and is seeking to inform others about his personal experiences growing up in a socialist country. Thank you so much for being here, Daniel.
Hi, Stephanie. Thank you.
So, as we mentioned, you're not originally from the U.S. You were born in Venezuela. Now, you are an advocate for informing Americans about socialism. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself and why you decided to be so outspoken about this topic?
Yeah. Well, when I first came to the United States, I never thought that I would end up being an advocate against socialism. I thought that that was something that was not necessary in the United States because it was not something that Americans could fall upon. But when I arrived here just 3.5 years ago, I saw how especially young people were very, very likely to be identified as socialists. So I took it upon myself to inform as many people as I could of my experience growing up in an actually socialist country. And that's why I had to flee, so that America never becomes socialist either.
What policies do you describe as socialist, and what is your response to people who say AOC or Bernie Sanders' policies are not real socialism?
Yeah. Well, socialism is a matter of degree, right? The more government intervention in our lives, the more socialist a country is. The reality is that all these proposals that are specifically in the Green New Deal, Medicare for all, guaranteed jobs, transforming the energy system of the United States, which will require nationalization of factories and taking down cars and airplanes. All these things require so much government control of our lives that would destroy the American economy. Now, these policies, the left argues in the United States, that are similar to the Nordic countries. However, they're very different. You know, in Scandinavia, many of these countries don't even have minimum wages. They have lower corporate taxes. Yes, they do have generous welfare states, but the Green New Deal is fiscally unsustainable. Those countries are fiscally sustainable. They don't run deficits like the Democrats are planning to do. So the Green New Deal and the democratic socialists in the United States are proposing Venezuela socialism, not Denmark socialism.
And let me ask you this. According to a recent Gallup poll, about 43% of Americans say that socialism would be a good thing for the country. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think that they have been led to believe that free government-provided things mean socialism. But they are not being asked the question, at what cost? And I think that once you include in those questions, what's the cost of those programs, what would happen if those programs were implemented, I think a lot less people would be likely to identify as socialist.
And then finally, you were part of the Vente party. What do you have to say to presidential candidates such as Bernie Sanders, who they're not endorsing the interim president, Juan Guaido, there in Venezuela?
I think it shows that my point is further proven that they're really socialists like in Venezuela. Why would a Democratic presidential candidate in the United States refuse to recognize a democratic leader in another country just because they aren't socialist? Because they really support this kind of system that is promoted by dictators like Nicolas Maduro. I mean, it took years for Bernie Sanders. It took years for some of these other people. People like Ilhan Omar and AOC haven't done anything. And they still condemn Trump for the problems of socialism in Venezuela. It's really a shame, and I'm honestly outraged and sad that there are politicians in this country that believe those things.
All right, and then once again, Daniel Di Martino, thank you so much for your insight, and of course, we'll have to see all these developments in Venezuela. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.